Today's episode is sponsored by Rentals United, the revenue first channel manager supporting the growth of the Elite Dynamics ecosystem through connections to over 90 global channels. Welcome to From Pitch to Pontoon. Today we're joined by John O'Gara, Account Executive at Rentals United, covering the UK and Ireland market. John works directly with Elite Dynamics operators, helping holiday let managers, marina resorts, lodge parks and glamping operators unlock more revenue through smarter distribution. John joined Rentals United at a pivotal moment. The company's been going through a significant transformation, moving from what was traditionally a channel management platform into what they call now a revenue-first distribution engine. We'll unpack what that means in practice shortly. Rentals United has also just published their 2026 short-term rental outlook report in collaboration with Price Labs, combining proprietary distribution data from over 1.5 million bookings with pricing and occupancy intelligence from every major global market. John is here to break down what that means specifically for UK operators running on Elite Dynamics. John, welcome. Before we get into the report, tell us a bit about what has been happening at Rentals United and why you think the industry is at that turning point.
Perfect, Callum. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to dig into the data, look at the UK numbers specifically, because if we're honest, it's quite remarkable in contrast to what's happened across Europe and the UK's position. I think people that are managing, will find some surprising findings, especially for holiday parks, marinas, and lodges specifically. The 37-page data-driven dive combines Rentals United distribution across 1.5 million bookings and Price Labs pricing and occupancy intelligence across every major global market. And the report really covers global, North America, APAC. But again, today we're going to be just focused on what matters most to your clients and the clients that you've got in the UK. Really, the UK, in short, had the biggest year-on-year booking growth out of the European market in our data. And the operators who are winning are doing really 5 things differently. So let me kind of explain what they're doing differently, okay? So firstly, the UK market really saw a 75% booking growth, okay? Occupancy held perfectly flat around about 56%, but demand was absorbed by new supply, okay? So currently as it stands, the UK market is fairly healthy. Booking windows are shrinking from 25.7 days, down by 3%. The guests are really deciding at a later date. If you're still setting rates manually once a quarter, then you're quite behind in terms of the current market. Length of stay is stayed around about 4 days. For holiday parks and lodge operators, this means high turnover frequency. Automation of cleaning and guest comms is not optional. The report calls the UK a quick turnover market, and that's exactly the profile of marina lodges, lodge parks, holiday parks, coastal holiday lets. The data speaks directly to this audience.
That growth is impressive, but does it apply to, obviously, the audiences that we're looking at? We're looking at parks and marinas, not sort of city centre apartments. So how is that translating into the industries that we're looking after?
So the UK is a quick turnover market, okay? So we saw a 4.0 day average stay, 25.7 day booking window that maps directly onto coastal holiday lets, holiday parks and marina lodges. The primary growth factor was a massive resurgence in domestic and inbound European travel. Maybe this has been impacted by the global climate at the moment, but British families are looking for a week in Devon. European couples are doing a long weekend on the coast. Okay? Professional operators, like 2+ properties, control 65% of the UK market. Individual hosts just hold 34%. Operators investing in technology, distribution, and pricing are definitely on the winning side of things.
So you mentioned there that obviously that window is starting to shrink. We've seen this pattern before. How much of the current economic climate do you think is contributing to those windows shrinking? What does that mean practically for someone that's, say, managing like a 40-unit park, a much smaller operation than perhaps the larger operators?
Yeah, well, Around about 42% of stays are now booked within 2 weeks of check-in. Okay, this has been like a bit of a structural shift. So really that says that you can't really be setting the rates in January and forget. Best filling out June gaps and deciding in May the rate might be too high, they'll book somewhere else, too low, you're losing out on potential revenue, okay? UK properties that are using dynamic pricing have actually achieved 62% occupancy versus 46% through static rates. So that's a 16% point gap across 40 units over a full season. That's tens of thousands potential losses in revenue, occupancy, and everything in between. So if you're using price labs to adjust the rates daily or weekly, you're holding premium rates from around 14 to 21 days before arrival. You're really tapping into that potential market, remaining competitive and adaptable, like within the current weeks and months.
So we're looking there at deploying targeted discounts to fill remaining gaps. Do you think that consumers are fully aware that operators will discount at the last minute, and that's actually what's shifting the booking pattern? And that's actually what's contributing to the shorter booking windows, because they're waiting for these discounts to be applied before they're making a purchase.
I think everyone wants to get the cheapest deal possible. I think it would be difficult to kind of estimate how many people are actually cotton on to that, because for a lot of holiday makers within the UK, you want to be planning, especially if they've got kids and spending time at holiday parks, that needs to be planned in advance to ensure you're actually going to be arriving at the holiday park or site within the school holidays. So I think maybe that's specific for a certain type of traveler, like independent couples, etc. But for holiday, family holidays, then I think that they kind of fall into that kind of booking further into advance.
So the report, when you look at it, it talks a lot about channel diversification. So we know that the people that are, or the guys or the operators that are on like Dynamics, they're mostly using booking.com, maybe some Airbnb. Is that enough? Do they need to go further?
So I wouldn't say it's like a failed strategy. I
Mhm.
think if you're looking at the bulk of the performance in the UK, again, it's always going to be Airbnb and Booking.com that accounts for around about 75%. Okay. But you're missing out on a potential 25% for the likes of Oda, Expedia. And I think utilizing like maybe the channels that have maybe a diversified like client base, like Agoda, which targets like the Asian market, Expedia for students, for example. I think if you're kind of diversifying the pool of your visibility, you're going to be generating more revenue than if you were just using one or two channels. And that's always the case. Like I'm from the opinion that the more channels that you're on, the higher chances that you're going to be generating bookings, improving the occupancy, and generating more revenue.
Okay, so if we're looking, obviously we've spoken a bit there about like sort of peak season, having to plan in advance. But what about the shoulder season? I think we're, especially for the holiday parks, we're really starting to continue, to see the expansion of the shoulder seasons. Their seasons are pretty much almost becoming full year round. So early season and late season, where it is a little bit quieter, what should they be doing?
So I think you're right in terms of like clients that are looking. The season's expanding. People are not looking to travel to like Southern Europe in the height of summer, and they're looking maybe at the shoulder season, September, October, where the weather's still good. And I think you can then apply that to the UK really. So I think looking at maybe long, midterm, longer UK stays within the winter, 30-day bookings, that can eliminate vacancy gaps, slash cleaning and communication costs, lock in steady income. If we're looking at Portugal in comparison, so they typically have around about a 60% occupancy all year round, with about 5.2 day average stay and a 36.5 booking window. Okay. Portuguese operators enforce a 5 to 7 day minimum far in advance. Okay. So you can say that the UK operators could adopt the same strategy. They can set out weekly minimums for summer months well in advance and then relax the minimums to arrival to fill in the gaps. During winter, you could switch to monthly for monthly pricing to attract maybe digital nomads, contractors, and relocators.
So if we're looking, and obviously we've just sort of said that you're moving away from being called like a traditional channel management, moving into being revenue first. What does that actually mean for someone that's managing a lodge park, say on the Norfolk coast?
So if we look at like channel management and like when we kind of came onto the scene like over 10 years ago, I think channel management really meant that you're just going to be connecting to the OTAs, you're going to be controlling the calendars, you're going to be managing the rates. I think over time it's adapted and we've adapted to really allow you to utilize the most out of the connections. Revenue first starts where the old manager stopped. Okay. So what rate plans are you applying? Are you using any non-refundable rates? Are you clustering similar units? Are you using mobile specific rates, running geo-targeted rates for German and Dutch families, okay, during their school holidays? Are you getting the most out of the connection as possible? Or are you just plonking yourself on there hoping for the best? So the difference that you've got between like a single flat rate on one channel and one multi-rate and multi-channel, the algorithm is optimized to set up. The algorithm is optimized, okay? Really, like clients that are using multiple rate plans are generating 3 times as many reservations on our platform, okay? Like clustering drives up around about 20% occupancy, and non-refundable rates increase property views by around about 30% on booking.com alone, okay? Really, and I kind of want to jump into the non-refundable rate, okay? So this is super important. You've probably seen it on booking.com, on Airbnb. You've got your standard rate, and then you've got your non-refundable rate, okay, which is typically 5%, 10% discounted rate. If you're offering 2 different rates, that's going to increase your visibility, as again, it increases the optimization of the list. And if you can kind of sync to the tune of Airbnb and Booking.com, it's going to increase your ranking and your overall performance on the platform. And not only if your clients are selecting these non-refundable rates and then they choose to cancel, you've still generated revenue and you've opened up that availability again. Okay. So it's kind of a kill 2 birds with 1 stone, but also this is alongside your standard cancellation policy rate. Okay. So that's missed revenue for me anyway, and clients that are not utilizing this, it's missed revenue straight away. Okay.
Absolutely. So how does that work specifically with Elite Dynamics in that sense then?
So in regards to the integration that we've got with Elite, so properties, rates, and availability come from Elite Dynamics into Rentals United and then out to every single channel. Okay, you manage everything in Elite Dynamics as like a central hub. Rentals United is more the distribution arm and the intelligence layer on top, extending the reach to all the connected channels that we integrate with. It's an extension. You map properties, configure the rate plans, connect the channels, and then go live. All analytics, AI analytics starts generating recommendations from day one. So we do have an existing client who've got around about over 100 properties, outdoor units, and they had inconsistent pricing. After connecting, we saw a 53% increase and 40% ADR increase.
So I know we've spoken about like Booking.com and Airbnb quite a lot there, but what channel specifically can operators access through rentals that they couldn't get themselves natively?
So if we're looking at outside of the top performers, Expedia, they operate like a multi-room and multi-rate. This is great for your family and group travel, okay? Especially like the Elite Parks clients. Additionally, we've got Google Travel, which operates like a commission-free direct bookings. Okay, so and with that, you can also utilize your own branding. So and you allow your properties to be listed alongside the Booking.com Airbnb, and any of your channels directly through a Google search. Okay. Additionally, on top of that, we've got like your home to go. We've seen a handful of elite clients that are currently using that. It allows meta search for holiday rentals. But yeah, primarily Airbnb and Booking.com, Expedia, VRBO are the main channels.
So how can operators benefit from working together with Elite Dynamics and Rentals United? What's the benefit of having both of them together?
So they complement each other. Okay. So firstly, with your um, Elite platform, you're going to be managing the operations, bookings, the day-to-day management, the guest experience, and that's where the strength is, and that's what sits at the center of your tech deck. Okay, tech stack even. RU really adds to the distribution depth and revenue intelligence. Okay, we've got over 60 plus channels globally, advanced OTA specific features like promotions, length of stay, non refundable rates, and that's beyond the basic availability and rate sync that you might just get through a standard provider. Okay. Additionally, complementing that, we've got AI and analytics. Really, what the partnership is Elite Dynamics is your hotel, Rentals United is your distribution revenue management team, and you need both to operate.
So the report mentions Europe had nearly 1 million bookings through Rentals United. How does the UK market compare to the Europeans?
So yeah, the UK is very strong at the moment. So it actually leads the booking growth at around about 76%. Spain and Portugal sit around about a 60% average occupancy, which is the highest in Europe. But UK is set around about 56 occupancy. Okay, so there is definite room to grow. Spain and Portugal have much longer booking windows. Okay, between 33 days and 36, and longer stays of between around about 5 days. The UK market is more fast paced, shorter stays, shorter booking windows, higher turnover. And so, really, it's a different playbook. Okay, Spain and Portugal can enforce 7 day minimum months in advance. UK operators need to optimize for volume, turnover efficiency, automate operations, and use last minute pricing tactics. Okay, if you're comparing that to France as well, so that grew from 56% to 54 occupancy in the past year. They had just under 15 million book nights in August. France benefited from the post-Olympics halo effect. Okay. UK growth is organic demand, making 76% even more remarkable.
So if we're looking at it's also mentioned in the report about the professionalization trend. What does that look like for smaller single sites where they've maybe only got 10, 20 units tops?
Yeah, so the report states that professional operators, like with 2+ properties, control 65% of the overall inventory. Okay, individual hosts hold around about 34%. So the gap is widening. Okay, good news for smaller PMs. You're already in the professional category. Pressure is on the individual host managing 1 or 2 cottages on a spreadsheet. They feel the squeeze from regulations, taxation, and operational costs. Okay. There is opportunity to pitch your services to individual owners fatigued by self-management, highlight higher occupancy through dynamic pricing and multi-channel distribution. It's like more of a compelling pitch to a cottage owner struggling to fill midweek gaps on Airbnb alone.
So what about the booking window sort of compression? We're looking at 42% of stays are now being booked within 2 weeks. How our operators should respond to that?
Yeah, so we are looking at shorter booking windows and shortened stays mean higher turnover frequency. Every gap day costs more because you had less notice. Okay, automate cleaning schedules, less messaging, check-in instructions. Cannot afford 30 minutes per booking on admin when bookings arrive within 2 weeks' notice. Okay, utilizing tools that we've got on the platform. So that's preemptive messages, automating the workflow as soon as the client makes the reservation. It's really going to be reducing the amount of time that you're spending responding to general FAQs, and kind of giving you more time allowance back for these clients that are booking within these short windows. So yeah, really to kind of summarize, the UK market is in fantastic shape. Okay, we saw, like I said, 76% booking growth. Occupancy was holding firm and strong forward pacing for 2026. Okay, but the operators that are capturing this growth are the ones through diversified distribution, dynamic pricing, multiple rate plans, and automated operations. Okay. If you guys want to download the full Outlook report, we will drop a link in the show notes. It covers every region, every segment, and gives you actionable playbooks you can implement this week. And if you're running, if you are running Elite Dynamics and want to see what Rentals United and Price Labs can do for your portfolio, reach out to me directly. We've seen ED users double their revenue through smarter distribution. We'd love to do that again for as many clients as possible.
John, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us today on From Pitch to Pontoon.
Thank you, Callum.
Thank you.